Join me today for another BattleTech book review. This time, No Substitute for Victory by Blaine Lee Pardoe. Welcome to the Geek Cabal channel. My name's Bobby, and today we're going to be doing a BattleTech book review for No Substitute for Victory by Blaine Lee Pardoe. So, first things first, if you follow anything at all BattleTech related, I'm sure you know there's some controversy surrounding the author. I'm not going to go into that. If you want to know my kind of take on all of it, look through the BattleTech versus Warhammer 40k videos that I did. There's one specifically talking about some of the downsides of the current BattleTech situation. It's in there. But essentially, he was let go for reasons that some people celebrate and others think are specious at best. So, whatever you think on the matter. I do think he was a good author and that it might have been a mistake to let him go. But, the company has their priorities and they are free to do as they please on that front. So, this is what it is. I've not read any of his stuff outside of BattleTech, though, so I do think this was a well-written book, though, and it's, as far as I'm aware, this is the last book he wrote as far as BattleTech. Or at least it's the latest one on the timeline, so I assume it has to be the last one. Okay, so that business aside, this book takes place at the end of the Dark Age and the beginning of the IlClan Era. I believe it's got the IlClan Era insignia down here at the bottom, so the bulk of the book does take place in that era, I suppose. If you want to know what that's all about, check out some of my other book reviews, in particular Hour of the Wolf, also written by Blaine Lee Pardoe, that describes the transition from one era to the other, the main event being the final battle for Terra between Clan Jade Falcon and Clan Wolf. So this book follows some of the warriors of Clan Jade Falcon who got left behind because of the circumstances of the battle. Clan Wolf was already on Earth and provided a way through for Clan Jade Falcon, and the Jade Falcons weren't ready to go at the drop of a hat, so they had to grab everything that wasn't bolted down, and in some cases, things that were bolted down, they had to be unbolted. So they had to pick and choose who was going, and the Khan of Clan Jade Falcon is Malvina Hazen, who was a complete and total psychopath, and had a handful of ideals that were less than ideal. One of which was, like most of the clans, their older warriors, they view them as outdated and obsolete. They weren't good enough to die in a glorious battle in their youth, so what good are they now? Even though I like the clans, they are totally a death cult. It's not good. Their society is very messed up. But yeah, so this is the main character, Sarah. I'm just a second, I want to make sure I get this guy's name right. Yeah, Hasara. And so I don't believe he's a blood-named warrior, but he is from the Hazen bloodline. Doesn't favor Malvina, favors their founder, the woman who founded the Jade Falcons. Then he gets left behind on this planet. It's a former Lyran planet, and there's only a handful of underage cadets. A Sibco is the term for the clans. And he has to pick a second in command. And so the woman he picks is a woman who suffered from like a feedback disorder from the neurohelmet in her battle mech. So it's prone to happen again. And even though he got left behind, he didn't want to disadvantage the clan in any way. So he picked the person they would miss the least. And she couldn't easily pilot a battle mech again, probably. So that's why he picked her. And yeah, so these handful of people have to try to hold the planet because the Lyrans notice that all the Jade Falcons are gone and decide that they're going to start retaking their worlds. And that is one of the areas of the book that I feel was a little, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but just, the setup doesn't make sense to me. because I know it's all justification to create a situation where the Jade Falcons are essentially fighting a guerrilla war for the better part of a year against the Lyrans, but the Lyrans can't call in reinforcements. They were able to smuggle mechs onto the planet, and they had a bunch of soldiers who were there from when they lost the planet to the Falcons years before, pilot them again, but they can't openly support trying to overthrow Falcon rule, even though they could take the planet in days if they did that. So, I don't know, the setup seems a little sketchy to me. I think it was all to forward that particular ideal. I don't buy the internal rationalization because the idea is, oh, the Lyrans are worried the Jade Falcons are going to, if they come back, they're going to be all pissed off and go on a counteroffensive. I mean, what do you think they're going to do if you retake the planet any other way? They're going to do the same damn thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, that part I didn't think was so great, but the a lot of the characterization in the book more than makes up for it. Blaine does a very good job of writing the clan characters as being very believable. And in particular, towards the end of the book, some minor spoilers here, by the way. The clan characters are humanized in a way clan characters rarely are. These are characters that, like Hasara in a second in command, whose name I can't pronounce, includes Geese, like Guice, I think. She's the woman with the neurofeedback problem. They are forced to confront the fact that they have dedicated their entire lives to the clan. And in the end, the clan left them behind when they went for their ultimate moment of glory. The thing that the clans have spent the last 3 centuries building towards. They got left behind. And that's a bitter pill to swallow. And the characters go through that. Hasara even contemplates, what does it even mean to feel human at this point? Because if you know from the other book reviews and stuff I've done, the clan warriors, they're not born normally. They're genetically engineered. They have to essentially survive a death trial to even make it into adulthood. And then from there, it's nothing but fighting and death for them. So, the woman laments the fact that she's not allowed to even have other interests, like things she wants, because they talk about how their culture is just so bankrupt. They don't produce art, they don't produce writings, movies, things like this. And she wishes that they did, because she confides in Hasara that she likes trashy romance novels, and the clans just don't make those. I don't remember what it was Hasara said he liked, but they have to come to terms with the fact that they've given everything to their clan, and their clan has basically told him, "Too bad, so sad. Do not pass go, do not become the IlClan." So, yeah, and that's whenever the woman decides that they're trapped essentially. She's like, well, if we're going to die, then at the very least, you and I can enjoy one night together. And so they go in the back of the cave they're in and sleep together. So yeah, that was a very human response. And to see clan warriors humanized like that, it just doesn't happen much in the other books. At least the more current books. I haven't read some of the older books from before the WizKids Dark Age era, so I don't know how frequently it happened back there. But yeah, so that was interesting, seeing a more human turn to them, seeing the kids that they have being forged into warriors, and then once it all pans out for them in the end, because more Jade Falcons show up, that's when they finally get news of what happened on Terra and the fact that they lost, that the Clan Wolf is the IlClan. But now there's a new Khan, and this new Khan realizes that they're going to rebuild what they have left, which is the people that got left behind. So maybe now the clan is actually going to acknowledge the fact that, these older warriors, they know an awful lot. I can never remember the phrase, but essentially it's be afraid of an old man in a profession where men die young, because that means they're really good at it if they survive that long. So, Hasara is very experienced at this point. The cadets, he convinced them that they're going to skip their trials. They're just going to go straight to being ranked, because they've been fighting in a war for a year. They've more than earned it. So Hasara is probably going to become part of the upper echelons of the new clan Jade Falcon under G.E. Chitsu. Chistu. I really got to remember how to pronounce that guy's name at some point. So yeah, like I said, very well written book. It took me a while to read it. Nothing to do with the book itself. I just been in a funk where I didn't want to read anything lately. But once I got back into it, I blew through the last half of it. It is a little bit shorter than some of the other books recently. It comes in at 267. Yeah. So some of the other recent ones have been clocking at 350 and 400. Actually, back to full novel size instead of some of the novellas that they'd had around 150. And not that those are bad. They're short to the point. But a longer book allows better characterization, fleshing things out, things like that. And Blaine took advantage of that here. And then, as a minor spoiler, there is the last chapter of the book involves the Knights of St. Cameron, apparently. So, the last chapter, not the epilogue. So yeah, they're apparently going to be a thing in the future here. So, but to see if that goes anywhere, don't know. With Blaine not being part of the company anymore, that's not the right way to say that. He did works for hire, and essentially was told they're not going to call him back. He wasn't part of the company, but he's been part of the line since I think sometime in the 80s. So, anyway, so without him, I don't know if anyone's going to bother to pick up that thread. Hope they do. I don't know anything at all about the Knights of St. Cameron, but sounds kind of interesting. But yeah, good characters throughout. The Lyran characters were also interesting, but although it focused primarily on the Jade Falcon characters, but we got to see a little bit of their spy master, Okerlund, and then the gentleman who was leading the forces there on planet. I unfortunately don't remember his name. And then the woman that got to be the Baroness, who was definitely not the greatest fitted for that job and made things worse. But, that's what happens. You take someone who was running a cosmetic company and try to get them to rule a planet. Doesn't always work out. I imagine it rarely works out, actually. But anyway, yeah, so I definitely recommend the book. I have seen people online who seem to want to trash Pardoe as an author because they disagree with him politically. And I think it's really easy to tell the people that genuinely don't like his writing versus the people that are doing it for some kind of fake internet points that mean nothing to nobody. So those people are toxic and should be avoided. They're just assholes. Like the problem I have with people who, when they see a bad movie, to trash it, they make up things about the movie. Like if it's a bad movie, it's going to give you ample ammunition to do it. You don't have to lie about it. The fact that you do undercuts any credibility you may ever have. So, don't do it. But, if you don't like Blaine's politics and that's the thing that's going to be a problem for you, then don't read the book. Watch my review. I just told you all the important stuff. The Lyrans don't take the planet. The Jade Falcons hang on to it. And that's what ultimately matters at the end of the day. So, anyway, check the book out if you want. Be a link down the bottom to Amazon affiliate link of some kind if you want to help us out, or check it out elsewhere if you want to. It's up to you. But yeah, so that is No Substitute for Victory by Blaine Lee Pardoe. I'm probably just totally blinding you with the way the light's hitting this thing right now. But yeah, so if you read the book or want to know anything else about it, down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. It's YouTube. You know how all that stuff goes. Don't know what the next book is going to be. It's probably going to be one of the ones by Brian Young that's also about the Falcons. That was the main reason I read this, because he has a new book out, and I can't think of what it's called, or the other book he's already written. He's got two of them, and they follow the Khan I mentioned earlier, Chitsu. I'll get it right at some point. Anyway, thank you folks for watching, and remember, no guts, no galaxy.